Alright, today I'm going to show you how to shim your valves on your 2016 to 2018 KX450F. I'm sure it crosses over to multiple years. It's just a spec. For this particular model, for your exhaust is 0.17 to 0.22 millimeters. For your intake it is 0.10 to 0.10 or 15 millimeters, my bad. So I've already taken the filler gauges and I've gone under, the exhaust. The exhaust is within spec. It's not actually perfect on the outer end, so it'll be a long time before that side needs to be shimmed, but the intake has no clearance. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to just reduce my shims to the outermost. So I'm going to drop it 0.15 millimeters, put the cam back on, run the feeler gauges back under, and see where we sit at, and actually, get to where we need to be in spec. So this is probably going to be a multiple time, 2 times on and off on the intake cam. We won't worry about the exhaust, but first things first, I have to take the cap off of this. I'm not sure if it's a spring-loaded style or if it's the tension style where you can use a small screwdriver and back it all the way out and keep it in place. If not, I'll be taking the tensioner out. I'll be right back. Alright, so the tensioner is the screw style, and what you're going to do is take a small screwdriver, go down on the inside, and once you're in the groove, you're going to tighten to loosen, and when you get to the end, you're going to put on a little more pressure, and that will hold it in place and loosen up your cam chain so you can take everything apart. In fact, this cam chain seems kind of stiff. It should probably be replaced. So the next time this machine is rebuilt, I would recommend replacing the cam chain with this. It's kind of sticky, kinky. I don't like that. I don't like it at all. In fact, the bluing on this is not good at all either. So yeah, I'll recommend it be replaced when it gets rebuilt. Now we can take off the intake cam and start with our shim job. So I'll be right back. It's all one unit, so I do have to take everything off to get it off. I'm just going to leave the exhaust cam in place or the cam chain in place, so less likely I have to spend a lot of time timing the machine. So I'll be right back when I get this cam guide off, and make sure when you take it off you go that way with it, because the C-clips underneath can fall down in there, and if it does, then you're going to take your ignition cover off and you're probably going to find them stuck on your magneto. It's happened to me before, happens often. So yeah, I'll be back when I get that off. Alright, so got the intake cam out, C-clips, cam guides. This is where you're going to inspect everything. Already we've seen the cam chain needs to be replaced. The bluing on the exhaust cam, which is not very much of a concern, but you want to check your guides, make sure there's no wear there or anything like that. Check your bearing on your cams, check your cams for any abnormal wear and tear. All in all, everything looks okay. I would recommend doing your valves one at a time, but when I take them out, I always keep right, and left, and that would be the machine's left and the machine's right. And just to get things going faster and much more smoother. Also, keep an eye on your gaskets as well. This one's O-ring on this side is damaged. I'm going to see if I have a replacement. If I don't, obviously, when the machine gets rebuilt, hopefully they get a kit where it comes with everything. So with this, I'm going to have to grab some special tools to show you how to do this, and I will be right back. Alright, so when it comes to measuring your shims, if the faces are worn off and you can't see what they are or what sizes they are, I recommend measuring them anyways. You can use a very near caliber, but it's not as accurate as a micrometer. I'd really recommend using a micrometer. After that, and also a thing I forgot to mention earlier, the fact that both intake valves were out of spec and not just one shows that the valves are kind of wearing together evenly. So now that we've got the measurements, which I've already done the measurements, the right one is a 2.25 millimeter shim and the left one is a 2.15 millimeter shim. So what I'm going to do, since I have no clearance, is I'm going to add clearance by taking away from these numbers. I'm going to take the maximum amount And most likely I'll have to do it again, but sometimes you get lucky and you end up with inside the spec range. You just don't want to go too far either, because then you would most likely be doing it again anyways. So this 225, I'm going to put him in here and get a 210. There, this one. Get this guy out. And I always put them in, you know, your numbers down. That way they might be legible later on. And I'm going to take this 215 shim. Where's 215? And we're going to replace him with a 2.0 shim. And I'm going to put them in real quick and throw the cam back on. I'm going to leave the C-clips out because most likely I'm going to be undoing everything anyways and shimming again to get the exact measurement. So I'll be right back. I won't even put the cam chain on because we're just measuring clearance underneath them with the feeler gauges. So I'll be right back when I got that on, and I'll see you over at the bike. Okay, so here we are back at the cam. No C-clips in, no cam chain on. Tighten it all down. Kawasaki is nice to put the torque pattern on there for you. It's all stamped in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Very nice. I still have no clearance with my smallest feeler gauge, which is 0.38 millimeters. But I can now rotate the cam freely on, you know, the lowest end. So I'm guessing, you know, I have at least 0.1 or 0.2 millimeters of clearance between each one. So I bet you if I step down to this guy, I'm probably going to have like 0.12 millimeters of clearance, which will put me in the middle, fairly close to the middle. So I'm probably going to do that. Since we stepped this guy down, which I did not write down, we stepped him down to 210. And we stepped this guy down to 20. We're probably going to step this guy down to a 190 and this guy to a 200, and I bet you we're going to be pretty close to the middle. We'll have to tighten everything down again and all that fun stuff. So I'll be back. I probably won't bother you with the whole shim thingy again, but yeah, here we go again. Multiple on and off. Okay, another thing I forgot to mention or point out too, when you're installing your shims, like I said, I always put the numbers down, but you want to make sure they sit flat all the way or you're not going to get a good measurement. Like this one's giving me a hard time and won't sit flat in its spot. Just make sure he sits all the way down there nice, flat, and flush before you put the bucket on, because then you will not be getting a good reading or measurement. You'll still look like you're out of whack and you'll be bouncing back and forth. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Alright, so here we are once again at the cams. You know, plenty of free space, no cam chain on, no C-clips in. Tightened it all down to get our clearance spec. And, you know, ran the feeler gauge underneath it, and we're sitting on 0.13 millimeters on both sides for our clearance, which is good. I'd prefer it right there. I'd like it as close to 0.15 as possible, less often shim it. And if you do happen to shim your bike very often, say like 2 or 3 times in a row, and you feel like that was too soon, that it's probably time to replace your whatever valves are stretching fast before you break one and it drops into your combustion chamber and you have a bad day. So, but yeah, after that, you know, our measurements are good. We're within spec. So what I'm going to do now is, of course, take everything back off again and put the C-clips on, bolt the cam guide back down, and, oh yes, I'm going to see if I can find a replacement O-ring for underneath it, because I don't like that. That just does not look good. See? Inspection. Really, to be honest with you, this cam chain should be replaced now. It should be replaced now. So I'll let him know. I'm doing this for a buddy, so I'll let him know. Alright, I'll be right back once I got everything in place. Alright, so we're going back together. I did find an O-ring that I could replace. His was bad, obviously. But before we put the cam guide on, we have to verify timing. And with these Kawasaki's, they have the faintest little line in there. I might have to put this on it. Right there, that little guy right there. that little black mark that you see on the outer ring is your timing mark. That's top dead center. That's all I have on that. We should have been a little bit easier to see and find. So we have to verify that our line underneath that guy is flush with the head surface like it is. I'm just not taking the valve cover off because it is siliconed in place. I don't want to deal with that right now. And our little dot right here on that guy is also, you can barely see him, he's right there, is also flush with the cylinder head. And another thing you can do too, well actually I should say before, you need to take the cam chain and roll it as far as you can that way. This one's not going to let me, I just moved it a little bit, but yeah. You put a lot of tension on it to make sure that, you know, it's going to stay in time and you don't have like a bunch of slack in the middle that's going to change it. See how bad this cam chain is though? That needs to be replaced. Really bad. In fact, I'm probably going to make a video on that real quick. But anyways, another way. I'm sorry for the guerrilla style filming. I'm just not in the mood to set up a bunch of tripods and shit around the garage and constantly move them right now. So another way you can tell too is you can come to the back side and your cam lobes are going to be flat with your cylinder head surface as well. Ugh, look at that cam chain, it's fucking disgusting. I'm sorry. But yeah, so now that we've got that all done, I'm going to go ahead and install the C-clips on this, put the cam guide on, and when I do, I'm going to make sure that the cam guide slots into the C-clips first, and then kind of move it into place onto the dowel pins, and then make sure it sits all the way flush down on the bottom, all the way across. If I don't, I could damage the cam guide, the C-clips, dowel pins, I could damage lots of things. So I'll be right back when I get that all in place. Alright, have the cam guide on, set down all the way flush. I have not tightened on the bolts because before I tighten that down, I want to re-verify timing, make sure we haven't gone out of time at all. So the line is sitting flush with the cylinder head on the exhaust cam. The dot is sitting flush with the cylinder head on the intake cam. And our alignment mark, where are you? I can't see you, is still top dead center, really close. So yeah, can't mess it up because that would suck. Alright, I'll be right back after I tighten all those little guys down. That is how they go too. Your chromies are kitty corner like that, all your darks are like that. I'm sure you, if you're watching this video for that, you've already seen it. Alright, I'll be right back after I torque these down. Alright, here we are again. Got everything tightened down. I haven't put that O-ring on because I'm feeling pretty confident about the timing staying exact, but once again we will re-verify. The line on the exhaust cam is flush. The can't see it now, it's starting to get a little too dark, but the little dot is flush with the cylinder head. Our timing mark is still aligned. Always verify timing, you don't want to risk damaging anything. So now that we have verified that, it's time to apply tension to the cam chain. And so go in here, and instead of righty-tighty, it's going to be lefty-loosey. Break them free, let them go, cam chain tightens up. Alright, so now that you've done that, you're going to go down here and you're going to go in normal engine rotation, which is lefty-loosey because cam chain is on the loose side and all your main tension is going to be on this side. So we're going to rotate this engine quite a few times just to make sure everything is going to be smooth. We get all the slack out of the cam chain. That cam chain is in terrible condition though. So rotate them a few times. There we go, we've gone around one whole rotation. We didn't run into the valves. We should be good. But we're gonna go again just because we like turning wrenches and spinning ratchets and fun stuff like that. Not to mention, you should definitely have your spark plug out for this. Makes life a lot easier on you. Should have had it out the whole time. I should have mentioned that earlier. Yeah, there we go. Sitting on top dead center again. Yeah, there you go. That's it. Put your plug back on, your valve cover back on, the gas tank, body, all that stuff. You are done. You shimmed your valves. Good job. All right. Catch you on the next one, guys.